Hello, everyone. This is Zachary King, aka Zaspy here, and I know it's been a while, but I just keep having trouble coming up with topics and staying on top of Zaspy or the YouTube channel, which I really need to start doing. So, as most of you have seen on Zaspy, I have quit my second job at Jewel after 3 months due to high stress and not being able to keep up with demands. Personally, I'm a little frustrated with myself for ducking out, but I just couldn't keep on going without running myself into a ditch. Furthermore, to continue going would only destabilize my brain further as my disabilities hinder my performance in the workplace. Luckily, my job as the box office guru in the movie theater does not demand much, so I'm definitely staying there, but the coordination, physicality, and knowledge basis of the bakery position at Jewel was not only too much, but it was simply making me unhappy, and that's the last thing I need to be feeling right now. I just can't heal my mind without with a negative thought process. So, what I want to spend the duration of this video doing is giving you insight into my brain and how it works, mainly my disabilities and how they affect me. So, to start off with the Asperger's syndrome, which is the where my Aspie name in Zaspie came from, it's basically the icing on the cake. It is on the autism spectrum, but is seen as a milder. It's seen as milder than standard autism spectrum disorders. My form of Asperger's was very severe as a child, and I would have emotionally violent outbursts at the slightest slip in routine in my public school system at ages 6 through 10. I do credit my outbursts with one thing, though. They led to my diagnosis at age 7 after it was suggested by my first grade teacher that I get assessed for autism, and after it was confirmed, my dad noticed a lot of the same symptoms in himself and got himself assessed, finding out he had it too. Eventually, my grandfather got diagnosed as well, and it became clear that it was a genetic trait. I'm credited for being the one who led to its discovery in our family tree, and the other disabilities I'm going to mention are also genetic in my family. Next on the list is ADHD, which, like Asperger's, is common amongst the community and is also very common knowledge, unless you fall in victim to overdiagnosis, which is becoming very common, sadly. ADHD, coupled with near inability to focus properly, brings physical hyperactivity to the table, hence the H in ADHD. However, the hyperactivity isn't always evident in everybody, but just because it isn't evident in physical behaviors doesn't mean you're not hyperactive in some way. For example, like my father, I don't have hyperactive outbursts. I do have some impulsivity, but not to the extent as my brothers. Instead, our minds are amped up to basically like 1,000 times the speed of a normal person's, and we tend to jump from subject to subject in like a matter of milliseconds, which is evident in the fact that we tend to randomly change subjects in the middle of a second without warning. I fall prey to this a lot. Uh, our thoughts bounce around in our heads like a bunch of bouncy balls in a spherical container. That's coupled with our brain's tendency to wander without control. And mine wasn't diagnosed until late after my brother's when I was about 16, as mine was harder to spot until I was drifting off while learning to drive, which is not the time to drift. Next on the list is my comprehensive dyslexia, which is obviously not standard dyslexia. Words don't scramble on the page like most dyslexic types, but the meanings of words and saying them confuses my brain, and we oftentimes have trouble understanding the words themselves and how to use them. I thought this was once part of my Asperger's, but sometimes when I misuse words and sentences when I mean to use another word, and I find it often embarrassing because I notice it right away. When I read words in my head, I can hear myself saying the words in my head, although I'm not physically saying them. One symptom linked to this dyslexia, which I was shocked to find out, and I was made aware by my dad, is that I cannot use both my hands when I do certain tasks, like putting cookies on a cookie sheet in Jewel, which is part of the reason I am leaving. Uh, what happens is either both hands don't move at the same speed or they don't coordinate properly, or my hands and brain just freeze completely. This is because my brain can't process using both hands due to an issue in the brain that affects the processing of limbs moving differently at once, which is linked to dyslexia. One other thing is, in order to combat some of my dyslexia, I tend to watch my movies and TV shows with subtitles so I can hear and see the words used. That helps me to understand better. And when it comes to using my hands, I generally use my left hand because that's my dominant hand, but I leave my right hand generally limp. I use it for only small tasks. So the final one is also common, but also very evident, and it's very hard to misdiagnose. It's bipolar disorder. It's the most recent of my diagnoses. This played a huge role in the past year with both my suicide attempts and severed relationships I have had recently. You can have severe highs and lows within hours of each other. For me, I was often on top of the world on my highs, feeling larger than life, like I could do anything, handle anything, often thinking illogically. And then when I reached my lows, which would happen within an hour or two, I would start making plans to kill myself and try and make sure they'd succeed, like in my head, like I would try make sure they succeed before I carry them out. Uh, During these low periods, I've become increasingly angry as well as sad, and I would start going after friends looking for help, but ultimately, I would end up raging out on them, and I would use my knowledge of their flaws and secrets against them, cutting off ties with many people, especially ones that were close to me, including family members. Thankfully, I haven't had a mood fluctuation in quite some time, but they always come with consequences and are generally very nasty. I don't know if this one is genetic or not, but I hopefully find out in the future. But I hope that I can maintain control over them so that I do not lose all my friends or all the trust I've been given. I know that a lot of you already knew a good deal of this from other people, past videos or Zaspy posts of mine, or knowledge from over time, but who knows, maybe you learned more about these disabilities than you once knew. But I certainly hope this video kept you engaged, and I hope it keeps you coming back for more. I definitely need to make more videos and keep them coming instead of waiting months at a time to release just one. But I definitely intend to make more videos, and as long as you guys keep ideas coming my way, I can definitely make more in shorter periods of time. I hope to see you all around Zaspy or YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good rest of your day or night. Have a good rest of your time, and have a good evening or day. Have a good day. Bye bye.